Okay, we're going to take a look at the game Justinian, the Reconquest of Rome, 528 to 558 AD. Now, Justinian is a bit of an oddity in the sense that it was not released as a standalone game, at least as far as I can tell it wasn't. It actually came with the game Cataphract, which was Volume 8 in the Great Battles of History system by GMT. Now, we're not going to look at Cataphract. We'll be looking at this campaign game on Justinian. So we'll take a look at the board, the counters, tell you a little bit of what it's all about, and see how we fare out. Okay, we'll do an overview of the map first. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the period, and I'm not a great historian on this period or anything myself, I'm still learning it, but it is the late Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire is split into two halves. Well, in fact, the Ostrogoths have taken all of Italy. You can see that here, and they're in green, and they're under Athelric. The Vandals have taken most of northern Africa, and they're here under Hilderic. So the Roman Empire is really limited to the east under the Emperor Justinian, and you can see his field armies here, Constantinople all the way to Dalmatia. Now, on the outside of the Roman Empire, of course, are all these barbarian tribes. You've got the Visigoths here, the Franks, the Alemanni, the Lombards, and so on, Slavs, Goths, and Huns. And of course, the other empire they have to watch out for in the east is the Persians, and you've got the Arabs here. So what Justinian is trying in this campaign is to actually reclaim the Western Empire of Rome. He's trying to recapture Italy and all of North Africa. Now, in actual history, he utilized one of his better generals, Belisarius, to do so. And Belisarius eventually reconquered Italy and North Africa. So in the game, it's a two-player game, but in the game, that's essentially what you're trying to do as the Roman Emperor, reconquer the West. So the barbarians don't really have to win the game, they just have to prevent Justinian from doing so. In that sense, it's not a bad solitaire game, because a lot of the barbarian activity is done through the use of these activity charts, and there's a lot of die rolling. So it can be played solitaire, but I still think it makes for a pretty good two-player game. You can see that the map is typical GMT quality, quite well done, and let's take a look at some of the counters close up. Well, the counters are up to the usual GMT quality, and here are some samples of leader units. Now, the leaders are rated in three categories. The first number is the control number, and you want this to be high. The higher the number, the better he's going to be for retreating before combat, intercepting, that kind of thing. The middle letter you want to be A, ideally. They're rated from A to D. So Belisarius is typically an A leader. Solomon, for example, is a C, and Caesar there is a D. So a better letter means you're going to have a better chance of moving your forces, because you have to roll on a table to see how many movement points you're going to get. And the third number is a straight combat number. Again, you want this to be high. Belisarius, for example, is rated 2. Sergius is rated as 0. So that's your leader counters. Quite nice looking. Okay, one little irksome thing I find about Richard Berg rules in general. They have a nice illustration here saying what each of the counters are and what they mean, except they forget to tell us what the 4 means on the fleets. Is that a combat number, a movement number? I have no idea. Might be a control rating for all I know, and I haven't been very successful at finding it in the rules. But that's a nitpick. The rules, whenever you get one of these add-on games, I'm always expecting something a little bit unfinished, and maybe this qualifies. I don't know. Anyway, that's the fleet counters. They're quite nice looking, again, typical GMT quality. Okay, there are some typical control markers showing Ostrogoth control of Italy. And I believe if you flip them, yeah, they give another nationality, Persian control. And the Vandals, I suspect, work the same way. You've got your Vandal control, flip, and you'd be Persian control. So that's the control markers. And some of the barbarian army leaders are quite colorful here. We've got the Ghassanid Arabs and the Alakmid Arabs, quite colorful looking. There isn't a lot of counters to this game in type. For example, these are your frontier troops. Little silhouette with a number. Now, one will need the game Belisarius, or rather the game Cataphract, because you're going to have to use these hit markers as barbarian strength point markers to indicate barbarian strength for their armies. You get other army counters. They're named Spain, Armenia, Africa, Italy. And I've done the setup here, our A setup. And I've got a Byzantine leader here on the Praesental army and the commander Butzi's under the Thracian army. So these little silhouettes of the cavalrymen represent entire armies. And you show the strength of your armies on these tracks. This, of course, going up or down. And then your Byzantine treasury track. Most of the game charts are right on the map, which is very handy. A random event table or vote table. Every time you activate a barbarian tribe, it may actually go over to the Byzantines. So that's kind of a neat dynamic. There's your movement allowance table, which I hinted at before with the quality of the leader. So A leaders have a much greater chance of getting more movement points, let's say, than a D. And there's your movement cost table and your army strength points for battle results. All your modifiers for the battles are there. And once again, the treasury track. Now, how does the game play? Well, I have no idea. I've only set it up here, and I'm going to give it a solitaire play today, and I'm going to play it with an opponent next week. So I'll be able to do a better evaluation after that. And as most of you know, most of my videos are not really reviews of the games. They're just kind of an introduction to the pieces, or any little nitpick I might have found out, like reading rules. But it looks good. Initial impressions, yeah, nice map, nice counters, interesting subject. I hope it plays well as a game. So that's it for Justinian, the Reconquest of Rome by GMT Games. Thank you for watching.